Joining us now, an exclusive interview, is Florian Brand, Atai Life Sciences CEO and co-founder. Florian, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
First big picture question, since you've only gone public recently, is just if you can tell us a little bit more about psychedelics in general and I guess the key things you hope they'll treat. I know it's mental health related, addiction related. Is it limited to that, or could it be broader in due course?
It could indeed be broader. So we're focusing generally on mental health indications as kind of our primary focus areas. That includes addiction, anxiety, depression, but also indications like PTSD, for instance. So very broadly focused on all sorts of mental health indications that are to a large degree not yet receiving kind of the attention that it deserves, meaning also patients don't yet have the treatment they deserve. And to your questions around psychedelics, we believe, so we're developing both non-psychedelics and psychedelic compounds, and especially the psychedelic ones have been well researched already in the 50s and 60s, then mainly due to political reasons, that slowed down. And more recently in the 2016, 2017, that evidence that was produced back in the days actually kind of was reproduced and is kind of very exciting from our perspective. And that's why we also decided to get involved from a for-profit angle to fund the rigorous science to demonstrate that those compounds are safe and efficacious. And that's what we are setting out to develop those, to actually generate the data, to convince the FDA and ultimately also payers to reimburse those treatments.
And so how far away are we from commercialization? And is that something you envisage reaching that point on your own, or do you expect to be in partnership with a big pharma company? Would it be a drug-by-drug deal, or do you think there's a big partnership to come with just one player?
So we have multiple kind of avenues here. We have optionality, and we built the Atai model also to have a lot of optionality. And we have already demonstrated, like on one of those avenues, that we are able to kind of capture that value. And you mentioned pharma partnerships. In March, we entered one with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals, a leading CNS company, mental health company, very innovative. And that's kind of one way that we could go through collaborations, co-development agreements. And then we actually committed in general to develop those compounds, especially the psychedelic-assisted therapies that we're developing all the way through until approval, because we believe that we can leverage a lot of our enabling technologies that we have on the platform to really make a difference here. But will remain very entrepreneurial to explore avenues like partnerships down the road.
It's very exciting technology, and I think it's why you've attracted the likes of Peter Thiel, big name investors. What though, specifically, is the timeline for when it goes from clinical trials and testing to actually being used in a therapy session? Yeah.
So in generally, like we have already, I guess, a psychedelic-like compound with S-ketamine Spravato currently being in commercialization phase, in basically the phase that patients can benefit from it. So there has been a lot of regulatory support. FDA basically approved Spravato in 2019. So there is already quite some momentum building up here. When it comes to our pipeline, we're still 3 to 5, 6 years out until that we can basically reach that level where patients can benefit from those compounds. And this time is required to actually generate the data to convince the FDA to demonstrate that those therapies are safe and efficacious.
You're obviously working on the medical benefits here. Have you given much thought into how you prevent abuse of these type of drugs when you think about psychedelics, illicit activity, dangerous use of some of these drugs?
So I think it's important to emphasize that they will be administered, especially the psychedelic-assisted therapies, in inpatient settings. So there's a clear set and setting element, a clear risk mitigation strategy also in place. So those will be only given in a safe setting, administered by a therapist under supervision. So we're developing those as very controlled therapies, nothing to be administered at home. We also have therapies in development that don't have those hallucinogenic properties. And here the target product profile is at-home administration.
Got it. Makes sense. Florian, thank you. We'll keep an eye on it.